That evening, unlike any other, I was washing the dishes, relishing the rare tranquility when my husband left. I suddenly felt a warm breath on my neck. I hadn't heard the door open or footsteps, just the sensation of someone standing so close behind me. Daniel's friend. He remained silent, not touching me, but his presence was undeniable. The stillness stretched on, and then he whispered, "You felt it too, right?" I should have left, but I stayed frozen, and that's when everything shifted. My name is Emma Carter, 32, living in a modest home in Brooklyn with my husband Daniel. The kitchen was softly lit by the pendant light above the sink. The sound of water running as I dipped my hands into the warm, soapy water made me feel at ease, the comfort spreading through my fingertips. The silence was unusual tonight, a rare moment of peace. Daniel had just left, saying he was heading to the grocery store on Atlantic Avenue to pick up breakfast supplies for tomorrow. I didn't question him, just nodded and continued with the dishes. I always enjoyed this time alone, the house without noise, no TV, no constant chatter. Just calm, with the sound of water flowing steadily. I sighed, soaking in the warmth of the water, easing the tension of the day. My actions became almost automatic, peaceful. Pick up a plate, scrub it, rinse it, place it on the rack, and repeat. Outside, streetlights cast a hazy glow on the wet pavement, creating soft yellow streaks across the window. The distant honking of horns reminded me that the city never truly rested. I closed my eyes briefly, relishing the quiet before Daniel's return, before life picked up again. But just as I thought I was alone, a sudden chill ran down my spine. I hadn't heard the door open, yet something in the air froze me in place. Someone behind me. My body tensed and I could sense their presence. I inhaled sharply as a familiar scent of sandalwood and tobacco filled the air. Without needing to look, I knew who it was. Lucas Hale, Daniel's best friend from college. I gripped the plate in my hand, trying to stay composed. Reason told me I was overreacting, that maybe Lucas had simply come by to say hello. But then why didn't I hear him enter? Why was he so close, his warmth pressing against my back? I took a breath, trying to steady my voice. "What are you doing here, Lucas?" A soft chuckle resonated against my neck, sending a shiver down my spine. "Just wanted to look at you." I frowned. The response was vague, uncertain. I continued washing the dishes, attempting to ignore his every breath, every movement. But the silence between us felt oppressive, like a thick invisible rope tightening the space. I didn't look at him, but I could feel his eyes, sharp like a blade tracing over my skin. "You're awfully quiet for someone who just entered," I said, trying to keep my voice calm, though I could hear the strain. "Didn't want to disturb you," he replied, his sarcasm barely concealed. I bit my lip, gripping the sink's edge, but the warmth of the water no longer reached me. Lucas shifted, a small motion, but enough to make me aware that he had moved closer. I turned my head slightly, just enough to catch him in my peripheral vision. The soft yellow light from the kitchen lamp illuminated his face, casting sharp shadows and highlighting his dark eyes, filled with something unreadable. A slow smirk tugged at the corners of his lips, as if he knew something I didn't. A knot twisted in my stomach, a silent warning gnawing at my senses. I didn't like the way Lucas was looking at me, the way he was standing so close, the heavy atmosphere in the room. I cleared my throat, trying to steady my breathing. "Where's my husband?" I asked, keeping my tone light, though the tension was unmistakable. Lucas shrugged, still smiling. "Out." He paused, tilting his head. "Thought you might need someone to be with." My stomach tightened, not because of the words, but the way he said them, as if he knew exactly what effect they would have on me. It felt like a test. I swallowed, attempting to relax my body. "I don't need anyone, I'm just doing the dishes." My voice had hardened slightly. Lucas leaned against the counter, his arms crossed, his gaze never leaving mine. "Do you always work this hard?" I forced a smile, trying to keep things light. "Someone has to clean up after dinner." But Lucas didn't smile. Instead, he studied me, his gaze slowly tracing my face as if evaluating something. "I don't think Daniel appreciates you enough." My heart skipped a beat. I turned completely, our eyes locking. Lucas remained silent, his gaze intense, as if searching for something within me. Then he spoke, his voice lower, with an edge. "He leaves you alone too much." The kitchen air felt suffocating. I tightened my grip on the sink handle, trying to control my breathing. This was a boundary, a fragile one that Lucas had just pushed beyond its limit. I could feel the tension, and Lucas was fully aware of it. I turned back to the sink, trying to ignore the tightness in my chest. The water still flowed, a steady sound, reminding me that I was in my kitchen, supposed to be at ease. But everything felt wrong. Lucas shifted again, not touching me, but close enough that I could feel his warmth through my shirt. I clenched my jaw. Part of me wanted to turn around to tell him to leave, but another part, a deeper part, warned me not to move, not to face him. If I did, I would have to confront something I wasn't ready to admit. After a long silence, Lucas spoke again. "You should stop." His voice was slow, each word weighed down with meaning. I froze. "Stop what?" My voice wavered, no longer steady. Lucas didn't respond immediately. I could feel his eyes on the back of my neck, contemplating something. Then, without a word, he took a step back, leaving me startled by the sudden distance. "Okay," he said flatly. "See you later." I exhaled deeply, realizing I had been holding my breath. His footsteps echoed through the quiet house, and moments later, the front door clicked shut. He was gone. I stood there, staring at the water, trying to calm my breathing. But no matter how hard I tried, his presence lingered. Deep down, I knew this wouldn't be the last time I'd feel him behind me. I clenched my fists, a strange mix of emotions swelling in my chest. Something neither fear nor safety. I thought it was over, but I was wrong. A few minutes later, I heard slow, cautious footsteps returning. My heart raced. I hoped it was Daniel. Maybe he had forgotten something. But no, it was Lucas. He stood in the doorway, his figure casting a shadow on the floor. His eyes never left me, unwavering and unapologetic. I swallowed, my voice strained. "Why are you still here?" He didn't answer immediately, stepping inside with deliberate slowness. The door slammed shut behind him, making me flinch. Lucas tilted his head, his expression dark, his voice light but dangerous. "You forgot something." The kitchen felt too small, too close. I knew I should leave, but my feet wouldn't move. "You should go," I said firmly, but I wasn't sure if it was enough to make him leave. A slow, knowing smile spread across his lips. "You feel it too, don't you, Emma?" I drew in a shaky breath, feeling the line between us blur. Lucas stepped closer, until there was barely any space left between us. "He trusts you," he whispered, his breath brushing my cheek. Maybe too much. I gripped the counter, trying to hold on to control. The air between us felt thick, like an unsolved mystery. His hand brushed my arm, a fleeting touch, but enough to send a jolt through me. I should have pushed him away, should have said something. But instead, I stayed still, frozen. His lips hovered near mine, waiting. Then, the sound of a car pulling into the driveway broke the tension. Reality hit like a splash of cold water. We both froze. Lucas backed away slowly, casting one last look before slipping out through the back door. I stood there, hands shaking as I pressed them against my chest, trying to calm my frantic heartbeat. Moments later, the front door opened. Daniel walked in, blissfully unaware of what had transpired. "Baby, I got everything we need." I exhaled, turning to face him, hiding the emotions flooding inside. He set the bags down on the counter and wrapped his arms around me, pressing a kiss to my temple. "Are you okay? You look flushed." I nodded quickly, forcing a smile. "Yeah, probably just the steam." Daniel laughed, oblivious, telling me not to overwork myself. As we unpacked, I could still feel the echo of Lucas's touch on my skin, but I tried to push it away. I should have felt relief, but I knew this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. As we unpacked the groceries, my heart raced, every accidental touch of the boxes or milk bottles making me flinch. Daniel was still chatting, unaware, and I nodded along. But my mind was stuck on Lucas. his presence, his silence, the way he seemed to know my reactions before I even did. Most unsettling of all, how my body had betrayed me. Nothing had really happened. I'd told him to leave, pushed him away. But what if Daniel hadn't come back when he did? What if I hadn't stopped it? The thought made my stomach twist. The next few days were spent trying to forget. I pretended nothing had happened, as if Lucas's presence hadn't invaded my thoughts. But I couldn't. His presence lingered, the way he seemed to know everything about me, and Lucas wasn't going to let me forget it. Every time I went to the grocery store, I felt someone watching me. When I passed the coffee shop near home, I felt his eyes on me from across the street. One night, as I poured water in the kitchen, I knew before I even saw him. My heart sank as I looked up and saw Lucas standing outside the window, hidden in the darkness. The streetlights barely illuminated his face, but I could see his eyes, sharp and knowing. The corners of his mouth curved slightly, as if he could feel exactly what I was feeling at that moment.